Brian, welcome along to our first episode together on IT and motorsport.
Yeah, no, it's after spending some time with you on the mentoring side some years ago now, isn't it, really, I guess? It's great to get back together again.
Absolutely. And we'll, of course, talk a little bit about the mentoring journey and the work that you do shortly. Today, we really wanted to share some of your wisdom with our audience, both those that are actively working within motorsport sponsorship, acquisition and management, but also for those people, I guess, like me, that are just interested and curious and want to understand more about the commercialization of motorsport and of course how sponsorships and partnerships play a role there. Perhaps for those that don't know you, Brian, just a little bit about your really interesting background.
Yes, indeed. It started, it seems an extraordinarily long time ago, fitting wheels, my first job, to wheelbarrows. So I suppose there was always a sort of motorsport end of the journey there, likely. And looking around without too many qualifications, just 5 GCE levels that I had, I decided that the way to make some money would be to go and become a professional salesman. And I worked with some extraordinary companies. I worked with Xerox, who had people like Clive Woodward have been through that, the rugby chief, and they were renowned for bringing all their new salespeople on a 2-week residential course where you learned so much about the workings of the big corporate world. And it was that journey through these big companies that helped me. And then one day, I was invited to go to watch a motor race meeting at Brands Hatch. And it was love at first sight. And there was one little problem. I was making good money at Xerox and places like this, but not quite to the level that it was at the time in Formula Ford, which was the formula I had watched and seen and thought would be the one I started. So I had to find sponsorship if I was going to do it. But in those days, guess what? Sponsorship wasn't allowed. It was only in 1968 that Formula One or the motor racing world allowed sponsorship to come in. And Colin Chapman, who is the boss of the Lotus Formula One team, I spotted the opportunity. And with a team called Gold Leaf Team Lotus, bought cigarette advertising in those early days, wicked days they are, as they're looked upon these days. But he brought in sponsorship. And of course, it has absolutely boomed. And today, if you want to be in any sport, it's not just motor racing. You really do need to know the world of sponsorship and how it works and what you can do for people. And I was lucky enough to race right through my entire career. I became a professional race driver, fully paid for right through my career, which is something that if I can do it, anybody can do it.
and there'll be a lot of people watching, listening to this that of course have the same ambition, getting paid to race. And we should also say that I think the way that I found out about you was via one of your many books, and so we just a little plug for that. So because we won't get time to cover all of your background in this episode, but if anyone is watching, listening, would like to learn more, then thoroughly good read and highly recommend.
Thank you. Yeah, it's the key thing about getting sponsorship is, I was very lucky. I was born with 2 very big ears, and I use those. And it was the ability to listen in companies as to what the company does, what it's looking to do, what its issues are, not going in there with a fixed idea as to what I think they need. And that sums up the world of sponsorship in my view. Listening to people tell me about their companies and how we can improve and help them make more sales, more exciting products, and so forth.
Brilliant. So maybe let's start with one of your deals in total in your career. Let's perhaps take one as an example. SodaStream, I think we talked about.
Yes, good old SodaStream, been around for a long, long time. And in fact, it was in my Xerox days. and I was driving in just out not far from Brands Hatch, funnily enough, and I saw a nightclub. And this nightclub on the A35 was a new club opening, and it had big hoarding outside, and it said May the whatever date it was, new club opened, business lunch, special offers, blah blah blah, and it stuck in my head. And the club was called Victoria's, and I went away past it, and a few days later I thought, I must go and make a point of meeting the manager there, the owner. And I did. And I found out that they were a nightclub that were putting a lot of money into this area near Brands Hatch. And obviously, what does a nightclub need? It needs people to go in and sign up and make subscriptions, memberships, come in, have business dinners and everything else and make money. And so I decided to be bold. And I asked a person who had a Formula Ford car that they were selling if they would let me borrow it and put it on a trailer. And they agreed. I don't know why, but they actually did agree. And I drove to on the day of the big business lunch, and I parked my car with the trailer and the Formula Ford on the back in the car park of this nightclub. Walked into reception and asked if I could see the owner of the club. I left the car there. The lady who was on reception very kindly rang through, and suddenly this 6'6" guy, he was huge, came out and said, "Is that your race car outside?" I said, "Yes." He said, and I won't use the terminology that he said, but he said, "I don't want to see it. I've got a business lunch. I've got people arriving." And I was sweating on this one. And I looked out of the window, and as all these people got out of their cars, they all walked over and had a look at the racing cars sat there, because you don't see that many cars in nightclubs, do you? Racing cars like that. And he said, "Get that car out of here." I said, "Look, just imagine if that car were on display in the shopping mall in Maidstone on a Saturday morning with one of your sales promotion girls. Just think how much interest there would be." He said, "Go and take that bloody car out." And as he did so, he gave me his card and he said, "And give me a ring next week. Let's talk." I talked and we did it. And we put together a package where it was designed to help drive people into his nightclub and become members and so forth. And that was the very first deal.
Wow. And that led to the SodaStream deal.
SodaStream, because I had my car prepared in that area in Maidstone, and I had we were working on the car one evening, and a very, very, very friendly gentleman in an executive car arrived, walks over, they fill his car up with petrol, and he looked at the race car and he said, "That's interesting." We were working on this car, and I said, "What do you do?" He said, what do you do? Are you a professional driver or something? And I said, "No, I'm just starting out on a journey." And he said, "Oh, that's interesting, like me." He said, "I'm the sales director for Kenwood Food Mixer People." And he said, "We are doing a management buyout of SodaStream, which is one of the units that is sold through Kenwood." And he said, "So we've both got a busy time ahead of us." I said, "Well, love to talk to you. Maybe we can do something together." He said, "Give me a call." And he gave me a call, and I went for a meeting, and this management buyout was taking place pretty soon, and they were looking for various ways. And I was able to show them there were 6 specific needs that I listened to and heard about that they had. One of them was obviously brand awareness, but the others was product sampling. The other one was trying to think now what the ones were. Oh, I know. They wanted to know their market, who was buying it, and buying the products. Because when you get a SodaStream machine, you get the machine, you get you put a bottle in, you put water in it, fizzes it, and you add concentrate, and it does wonderful things, and it comes out whether it's a Pepsi type flavor or it's an orange flavor or whatever. But they wanted to know who bought their products. So I suggested they set up a racing team membership where people could join the racing team, get a T-shirt, send in their name and address, and get an entry into a competition to win the race car at the end of the season, together with a course of lessons at a racing driver school. And hey, what? He said to me, Brian, that's brilliant. And one thing more we need is product sampling. And again, I showed them that we could put a car in the departmental store, have them on display, have a sales department, a sales girl there from SodaStream. When mum and dad with little Timothy walked up to the racing car and said, would you like to sit in the car? Have your photograph taken in there? While Timothy's in the car having his photograph taken, the sales girl showing Mummy the new drink that only costs 50 pence or whatever it was in those days to make it. And it worked. And we were in Barkers of Kensington, big stores in Peterborough, all over the country. And the great thing about it was that not only did I do a sponsorship, but I persuaded them that I should be there with the car on display to help and talk and interest people while they sell the machines. And SodaStream said, right, why don't we pay you to come and go with the car around the country? Suddenly I was a professional racing driver.
Amazing. You'd have never stumbled across that opportunity in a million years. Had you gone out and said, I want to find a company that's about to do an MBO and therefore would have, being an established business, they probably have some means and resources to be able to require and afford such an engagement. So obviously great that you've seized the opportunity, but how would you have replicated that any other way, or could you not have done?
Well, if you go on my website, you'll see the different categories of companies that I've gone through in terms of sponsorship, and product sampling is very, very widespread. If you sit down and say, right, product sampling, a list, what type of foods, what type of things need to be sampled. If you've got you go into an exhibition, for example, at the NEC, and it's a homes and crafts exhibition, then anybody who's selling foods, anybody who's selling soft drinks, anybody who's selling cake mix and everything else, they know that the best way to get somebody to buy it is to try it. It's like you're buying wine. If you want to buy a good wine, then you taste it. You like the wine. You don't just go because it says on the bottle, this is a good bottle of wine. You taste it. So creating sampling, so that immediately opens up a category. Then you have another category that might be IT. And you start looking at all the IT companies and how can they best get involved and benefit from promotion of that type.
Yeah. Okay. Super. And so, although on that occasion there was some good fortune, right time, right place, that there is a way of building a target list and systematically working through reaching out, making contact, and with an end solution in mind based on what their likely needs are. So that's good to know.
One thing I'd like to just come back to, and that is these. It's all very nice having ideas and going to companies, but when you get into that company, then the question is, okay, what would you like if you had a magic wand? What would you like to be able to do in your company that you can't do now? What would help sell more products? And listen to what the person says, and then start to come back and say, right, let's talk about how we can achieve some of those things. Don't go in there saying, we can do this for you, we can do that for you, and everything else. And it doesn't matter what category that is. It's that ability to create a conversation with, and the second point we can come on to in a minute if you want to, who do you talk to in a company? Because that is by far the most important part, and one that today I know for a fact out there in the market, because I'm still doing deals, is the most difficult for people, and that is, who do you speak to and how?
So maybe we'll just go down one very small tangent then here. is it true that you need to have someone that's a champion, a sponsor with an interest or in the sports to begin with, or is it entirely based on commercial validity?
It's a difficult one. It depends who it is. One of the biggest deal, in fact, I ever did. I bought FedEx into Formula One for the first time. They'd never been in before, and it was the days of the tobacco era was coming to an end, and we were looking for big blue chip companies as to could replace this. Yeah, what I did was to have a look and decided to target as a category the logistics sector, UPS, DHL, FedEx, and so on. And I started approaching and trying to get a meeting at the right levels with them, and it was very difficult. But eventually, I managed to find somebody in the marketing department of FedEx in London, and that liked Formula One. And as you very rightly said, I then used that person as a champion. I knew they weren't the decision maker, so there was no point in not trying to sell them the idea or anything else. But it was a case of getting them to explain where the decisions were made in that company. And that took me and got me a meeting eventually in Brussels with the head of FedEx Europe. And that even then from there went on, and I found myself sitting in Memphis with the head office of FedEx in Memphis, which is the most extraordinary place, believe me. 200 aircraft every night fly in and out of the hub at FedEx, their major international hub. And in the meeting I was sitting in, I met Mr. Fred Smith, who was the man who started FedEx, and walked out with a very hefty check, not literally, but even in those days we didn't carry checkbooks around, but with a deal on having bought FedEx into Formula One. And it was because this young guy who helped me, we did the homework, we found out where the decisions were made, what those decisions were, who are the people to go, what else they were looking at. And the extraordinary thing, and this is true, nobody believes me, but I had a deal on the table with DHL at the same time. And that's not surprising when you think about it, because if it works for FedEx, why wouldn't it work for DHL? Why wouldn't it work for UPS? Why wouldn't it work for Parcel Force Worldwide? And that was the proof to me of how this thing really works. And the more you do, the easier it gets. Until now, and it's become, and this brings us on to what we were talking about, today's market out there is tough because you've got so many people working from home. Companies now won't give out phone numbers. It is like Fort Knox out there trying to get into companies. It is very difficult. And I think, personally, I think a lot of companies are missing out on some great opportunities being presented to them. It's a case of they're making their own decisions as to whether it's important to them. And they're going to miss out on some very exciting opportunities. But that is the world we're in. And we have to learn how to deal with that.
Yeah, interesting, and I guess it is it's a different environment today than it perhaps was in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 90s, etc. But there are some persistent qualities and tactics and strategies that continue selling generally to ears, one mouth, as you mentioned earlier. And I think we can still look back at historic experiences and learn from them, but perhaps adapt them to the modern world. So, for example, LinkedIn has been a really powerful tool for me, which didn't exist 15 years ago. Yes, maybe calling is diminished in some regard, but perhaps LinkedIn offers a balance. So. Time is racing on. Excuse the pun. We wanted to talk a little bit about the Gillette deal before we get into the IT and technology partners that we wanted to look at in particular. So, just tell us a little bit about Gillette and the makeup of that deal and how it came about.
Well, I was invited by. I was head of motorsport for an agency in London by now. And I was invited to the head office of Gillette with Benetton. We were representing the Benetton Formula One team. And they said, we're doing a presentation to Gillette. And would you like to come along, Brian, and sort of sit in the back of the room and listen? And you might find it interesting. Well, I sat at the back of the room and I nearly fell asleep. It was so bad. I was very, very disappointed, and waited until the end of the presentation. And I spoke to a guy called Risto Myler, and Risto Myler was the European marketing director for Gillette. And I said to him, Risto, I said, I introduced myself. I said, you look bored out of your mind throughout that whole thing. And he said, Brian, every year, all the Formula One teams, or nearly all of them, come knocking on our door at the head office of Gillette here in London. And every year they have bigger and better pictures, videos, whatever it is, films of the car, painted, their race car, Formula One car, painted in Gillette colors. And every year we say, no, thank you, not interested. And every year they come back with better and more. So he said, that's why they've done it again today. I said, okay, can we get together? And I want to listen to some of the issues that are facing you at Gillette, and that are, if you could find a way of solving those, would interest you in getting involved in Formula One. He said, Brian, we'd love to be in Formula One, but yes, you can have a half an hour of my time next week for a coffee. I got into his office next week, and both the president of FedEx Europe was sitting in there. And I thought, wow. He said, Brian, this is going to be a very difficult meeting for you, because he said, we have told all these teams who come every year with the same old thing, we don't want to go into Formula One for that reason. They all say brand awareness, brand awareness, brand awareness. Gillette invariably does not need brand awareness. What it needs is product knowledge to show why our products are much better technology-wise. So he said, if you can find a way of coming back with that, we will listen. And I found a way of doing it, which I won't go through the whole thing now, but it involved putting together a 6-part TV documentary series, Life in the Fast Lane, and using that to barter for free airtime to put 30-second TV product commercials on ideally 129 broadcasting countries of Formula One. And I showed him how they could say that, do that, showed in practical terms how it would save about £12 million. And we did the deal within 3 months, and they were and I said, my favorite line to him, I said, you won't be getting any branding on the car. He said, why? I said, because you told us you don't need it. He said, that is the most expensive part because it's a finite cost. I said, what we will do, though, we'll give you Gillette on the rear wing end plates, but the rest of it, you're getting the money is going into the TV series, the programs, and how you barter that and getting the advertising. We sat in his business office. He brought up a pocket calculator, did some sums, held it up, showed Risto Myler, and he said, Bracken, look how much it's going to save us if we do that. And we did the deal, 3 months from beginning to end.
Amazing. Is it still possible to, is that TV program still exist anywhere? Can we go and watch it still?
I don't know. They gave me as a gift, Gillette, they gave me a set of masters of the 6 programs. Okay. It was on, we got it onto ITV, free to air in Britain. I think the take-up was about 27% of all the country. We went to Monaco to the Sportel Tech conference where they sell and buy TV programs. And the idea was that they would go up to each one of the 129 countries that take live coverage of Formula One and say, we will give you this set of 6 masters, the lifestyle of a Formula One team, the lady who does and organizes the travel. I mean, that's a massive part of it. The truck driver, people who do the pit crew, and each episode is a different side of the business. And if you get 129 countries taking that up offer up, you'd be very lucky. 29% of them took it up, and they gave Gillette. They'd have the program for free, but they had to give Gillette top, middle, and tail advertising slots for free. And that's how it worked.
Amazing. And I guess that the modern day equivalent, perhaps not directly of that, but just as a way of how TV and sport can interact and be transformational for either. Like I'll think now about the Netflix Drive to Survive series, and just how instrumental that's been in the recent growth of F1 and Netflix.
That's true. And we come back again, though. That deal took place, that Gillette deal, for one simple reason. I listened to what they actually wanted instead of guessing that they wanted brand awareness. And that is today. I listen to a lot of young salespeople, or not just motor racing, but they don't listen. They think they know. They can't wait to get in there and tell you what they're going to do, instead of let them tell you. Let them tell you. Let the guy. I wouldn't, if I had just sat there and talked about motor racing sponsorship to the man from SodaStream. No, we listened to what his management buyout. I didn't know what a management buyout was at that time. I had to ask him. I said, "Tell me about it. What is it?" And he told me, and I said, wow. And how do you go about that? And there he was telling me all the things he wanted to do. And product sampling kept coming up and time again. Getting a list of their users. So we got names in those days, it was names and addresses on a coupon, and we put that on the side of the bottle. But I come back to this time and time again. It's this. Not selling them something, it's listening about what their products do, what they want them to do, and go from there.
And just at this point, we'll come on to some of the IT experiences that you've had in a moment, but we just wanted to share two book suggestions for anyone that's listening, watching, that's got an interest in finding out more about generating partnerships. And for inspiration, I'd like to share one book that was recommended to me when I started, which is by Guy Edwards, Sponsorship and the World of Motor Racing. I bought this on eBay, I think £200 or £300 a few years ago, and a really interesting read. And Brian, I think you wanted to share one of yours as well.
Yeah, GQ magazine?
Of course, GQ, yes.
They did a big feature called Money to Burn, and featured Guy Edwards and my books on that thing. And Guy was my idol. I watched him. He was obviously older than me and been around longer, but he was brilliant, and did some great things. And he motivated me to learn more about sponsorship. My book is called A Professional's Guide to Sports Marketing, Sports Sponsorship, and it's available. I think it's still available online. I think you found it £80. I think it wasn't it? This morning,
25 pence, yes, and a bargain at half the price.
Okay.
You've got a copy of it there, just so people can recognise the.
Yeah. It's published by Autocourse, who do the Autocourse Formula One, Motor Course, and Rally Course books.
And there's at least 2 copies left in the world. One on Amazon and one in Brian's office.
Yeah.
Super. So perhaps we could wrap up with a bit of a quick fire. Some of the IT businesses that you've worked with, and just some of the stories and anecdotes you have.
Another company with IT wise was Marconi, of course, a very, very well-known name. And I had by this time become the marketing director for Benetton Formula One. Worked with Rocco Benetton, the heir to the throne, as you could say. And he'd been approached by Marconi and passed it over to somebody else who was at the time there, and nothing had happened. So I can't claim that I started the deal, but I took it over and closed the deal, and which is half the battle these days, being able to do that. And Marconi was an interesting one because when I went to see them, I said, okay, tell me, why are you even thinking about going into Formula One? What do you want to do? And they said, create brand awareness. We want people to know the name Marconi. And that was fine. But what I actually found out after talking to the marketing guy, Mike Abbott, I think his name was, very, very nice guy, quite happy to sit and talk and explain things. But he genuinely believed that brand awareness was the reason. In actual fact, what they wanted was not so much brand awareness, but how can I explain it? They wanted to get across the fact that they were not only in IT and high technology, but they were very good at it. They were a reputable company and the like, and felt that image. And I said, well, one of the good reasons about being involved in Formula One is something called image transfer. And image transfer is to take the qualities of Formula One that you associate with Formula One. That might be speed, it might be high levels of safety these days, it might be excitement, it might be danger, it might be international, it might be global, but qualities that you would like associated with your brand. And that brand at the moment, if you ask somebody in the street, what do you associate Marconi with? They would probably know the name Marconi because it's a famous name, but wouldn't really know what they did. So by using quality, the association with Formula One, they can actually talk and show people how the two blend and work together. And image transfer works not just in IT, but across so many different types of things. If you're thinking you want luggage, expensive luggage, selling it with a sport where people travel, lots of money, going to Monaco, all these things, the image helps to sell the product. And you can do the same with others, such as technology and IT. So that was something that we learned and really helped close the deal with Marconi.
And in the case of that,
Marconi, I don't know if you can see it on the wall there, Marconi the car.
Oh, that was the launch overlooking which city? Barcelona?
Yeah, Barcelona, amazing with the old car made to look like stone. Do you know about that?
No.
Can I tell you very quickly? I'm very lucky. I was able to go to several Formula One launches, and in those days, the launches were something different. They were amazing. A lot of money spent on them, and this particular year we had Marconi as the prime sponsor. We had Giancarlo Fisichella and Alex Wurz as the two drivers, and Rocco Benetton was by now running the team, and I was marketing director. And we went to Spain, and we went to Barcelona, and the big museum up on the hill, the big dome museum, which has got statues around all the way around it. And we had a model of a Formula One, a full-size model of a Formula One car that was made of I think it was fiberglass or something, but it looked like stone. So you've got these gorgeous stone statues, and there is this Formula One statue of the Formula One car. And what happened, as all the photographers were asked to put the cameras up, guy, get ready to take the shot because you're going to see the new branding on the new sponsorship on the car. And that it was on the top of a plinth, this car. And suddenly the plinth started to turn. And underneath the plinth, coming up onto the top now, was the real Benetton Formula One car in the full Marconi colour scheme, blue and the white writing and everything else. And it came up, and there it was. And everybody just went, wow. One of those moments. And there were some of the launches in Formula One. I mean, they were so big. We had one at the Thames Studios, ITV, and we had the car. Well, we thought we had the car in the middle of like a studio with banks of seats all around it, up high, like a football ground. And there was this car, and it was covered in black silk. And everyone expected that underneath this, that would be the new exotic sponsorship on the car, whatever it was. And we all sat there. They said, right, camera's ready. And as everyone started flicking and the light started going, this silk screen came up and there was nothing underneath. What had been done was they had a company who specialized in this. They drape from the ceiling, from hooks, to make it look as if whatever's underneath there, it's a car or a horse or whatever it is. There was nothing there. And then at the same time, the lights went on and the Formula One car came through the middle, drove through between the grandstands where the people were all sitting on its own, radio controlled or whatever. I don't know what the technology they were using. And this thing came to a halt. This year's new Benetton Formula One car. That was amazing. It's a different world. I don't know what it's like today because I'm no longer. I'm a member of the Grand Prix Trust still, and still keep it very heavily involved. But yeah, I was very fortunate. I had some very exciting times in my life.
So yeah, and really appreciate you sharing them with us. Yeah, it must have been fascinating. I'm sure we could fill episodes full of fantastic experiences. So a final wrap up in terms of some of the technology businesses, HP Dell we mentioned before.
Yeah, interesting. The Dell Computers and Hewlett Packard, a very strange story in a way, because my sort of claim to fame, apart from being reasonably good at getting sponsorship, is the fact that I started an organization called the MIA, the Motorsport Industry Association in Britain. That was in 1994. And it was to launch an organization that was capable of getting government recognition of motorsport as an industry in its own right for the first time. It was up to that point just an add-on to the automotive industry. But now we wanted our own sector to represent motorsport. And we launched in 94. And every year since then, we've had the Motorsport Industry Association Awards at the House of Lords, Formula One cars on display, and it attracts the sort of the biggest and the best in the world of motorsport. Government people come along. And I stood down after 4 years in Britain. But Hewlett Packard was one of the companies I brought on board. And they wanted to do it because I happened to, in a chance meeting with the marketing director of Hewlett Packard, say to him, do you realize that Britain is at that time, I think it was about a £5.5 billion industry. So he said, I said, well, wouldn't you like to, do you target that industry as an industry sector in terms of all your IT equipment? Well, wouldn't really know where to start and hadn't even realized that it was an industry in its own right. And I was able to show him how it is an industry and how I could hold your hand and I can take you into that industry and introduce you to people. And I explained of the types of businesses that make up the motorsport industry. And those, it doesn't matter what they were, but those companies still bought office furniture. They still bought IT. They bought insurance, all of the many other things. It's just that people at that time hadn't thought about it being an industry sector. I went over to South Africa, and through a long story, I was manager of the Grand Prix circuit earlier on in my life, and I had raced professionally out there. And while I was there, I realized there was a huge opportunity to set up the South African Motorsport Industry Association, which I did, and got the Dell Foundation, the social corporate responsibility arm of their company, to come on board as a partner in terms of representing them to the education sector in South Africa. And we I was a director of Formula One in schools. We were trying to get young South African kids to use engineering and technical skills training, and motorsport was a way of attracting them in. They loved it. Some of the kids from the townships, who never even dreamed of being involved were there. And Delta Foundation flew Rory Byrne over, the designer for Ferrari's Formula One cars. He was the South African. He came over and launched the South African Motorsport Industry Association for us. So it's finding different ideas, listening to what companies want, and showing them how motorsport can help them achieve that, not by sticking stickers on cars. Yes, they all want the stickers, but at the end of the day, it's the business opportunities that can be created, and how and that's the great thing about motorsport sponsorship, what it can achieve over and above the usual three of hospitality, brand awareness, and PR. Yeah, they're great, but it's all the other things that it can do. So if you read the books, and even Guy Edwards' book, even in those days, he was still talking the same language as that. It's not about stickers. It's about what you can do to help sell more products or more services,
and ultimately make more money, and then the world continues to go round. So it's been a fascinating conversation today, Brian. We could probably talk for another couple of hours, no problem. And I would be interested, perhaps in the future, exploring the return on investment topic, subject to how much detail we can perhaps go into there. But Brian, can't thank you enough for your time and your generosity with sharing some really, really fascinating stories. And I guess to finish off, shameless plug. We came together for mentoring, and you're continue to help aspiring and professional racing drivers today. Tell us a little bit about how that works.
Yeah, well, I'm working with several young drivers. One of them is a young lady who's 16 years old. Her name's Daniela Sutton, and she was the BRSCC scholarship winner. She came out of karting. She was fourth in the Daniel Ricciardo karting series, and then she won the BARC championship, which last year she did Ford Fiesta Challenge for a year. And I'm working at the moment trying to help on a fairly unofficial basis with her father, her to move into her aim is the A1 Academy, not A1, the F1 Academy. So she wants to get into Formula 4. We're doing that. I'm also working on an official basis with a South African driver, Garth Warberski, who finished fifth in the GB3 championship this last year. I'm working with his father, Garth, an ex-racing driver himself, to get a program together this year. He's racing in the Fanatec World Endurance Championship, the Stefan Rittel series. I'm working on that. I'm trying to help people where I can, give them advice and so forth, because it's not easy out there. I know that. It's Formula One these days has become very, very expensive at the top end. That's keeping me busy. I'm thinking of writing another book, but this time a novel.
A work of fiction, then.
Based around Formula One.
Perhaps that could be the next Brad Pitt Formula One film, then, when that is converted to a film.
Yeah, indeed.
Super. Brian, thank you very much for your time, and hopefully we'll speak again very soon.
My pleasure.
You started your MSP to help business owners master technology. Isn't it time you were rewarded for that? MSP Finance Team helps hard-working MSP owners finally get the profit, time, and control they deserve. With better financial and strategic insight, you can make better decisions, leading to more control, profit, and time. Our approach is unique. We focus exclusively on MSP businesses, and we meld bookkeeping, CFO as a service, accounting, and mentoring to help you get started, scale, or sell. we bring you the freedom to focus on what's important, whether it's growing your business strategically or enjoying spontaneous moments with your family. So visit mspfinanceteam.com today and take the first step towards financial mastery. Because when it comes to your MSP finances, it's not just business, it's a numbers game.